everybody, Ketwolski here, checking out one of our hashtag Earl Grey pour-up video discussions. Today, of course, we're going to be talking about a bunch of news stories in relations to the Star Trek universe. So, as I keep trying to tell people, just keep bearing in mind that I am still building out the studio at my new office location here in the new house. So, things are going to continue to keep changing. The audio and videos and stuff like that are going to kind of continue to improve and get worse and get better until I finally nail down a design. But I do apologize for how long it's taking. I'm just very picky, I guess. All right, so right out of the gate, we have some of the most important information from an interview that Alex Kurtzman did just recently that has then been transcribed and spread all across the internet, which includes a lot of key details and specific updates regarding Star Trek shows. One of the biggest things that came out of this little interview is this thing here. Quote, "We've been running all of our writers' rooms on Zoom. The silver lining is, in regards to COVID, is that we've actually been able to get quite ahead on scripts for the upcoming seasons of Discovery and Picard and Strange New Worlds, which is going to be shooting next year, and of course, Section 31. So that's a lot to kind of take in. I've been theorizing quite a bit on this channel that we are going to be getting an announcement for Discovery Season 4 sometime around the premiere of Discovery Season 3 in October of this year. That just coincides to the way that CBS has done business in the past, and that the filming kind of dates that were put into the IATSE website and also the Directors Guild websites kind of coincide around that October timeframe. So that's kind of where my theory is. But this is essentially just confirming that. Now, I know there's people that are going to be out there naysayers and saying, oh, they're just writing scripts because they're bored and they're just trying to keep their jobs or whatever. Yeah, because studios are really big on just paying people for things that they definitely don't have any intention of using at all. I mean, yes, sometimes scripts are worked on and writers are paid to turn in, actual scripts, but then they never actually get filmed, or they just get kind of shelved and stuck in development hell for a while. That is a very common thing that does occur. But to me, based off of all of the supporting evidence that we have, that the Star Trek franchise continues to grow, we're getting more and more shows, it seems like all the time, more and more shows, it makes more sense and it seems more likely that we are talking about the eventuality of having a fourth season of Discovery, and then of course the second season of Picard, the first season of Strange New Worlds. What was interesting is that he still plugged Section 31. I thought that was quite interesting. We haven't heard a whole lot about that show really at all in the last, 6-7 months or whatever it is. Yeah, COVID had happened and everyone's been focused on Strange New Worlds and the Captain Pike show and all this and that, but it is quite interesting, I think, that he's still trying to push this Section 31 thing. So at least in his mind, from his perspective, it's still very much alive. But it's very important to note, this is directly from Alex Kurtzman himself. He's saying that they are working on the scripts for the next season. This is like 99.9999999% guarantees that we are going to be getting a fourth season of Star Trek Discovery. In that interview as well, Alex Kurtzman does cover a couple of other topics, including addressing the situation with the short treks, saying that he wants to get them internationally released and that he wants more of them to be created in the future. Talking about international releases, though, I did want to go ahead and talk about this news report here from The Hollywood Reporter that talks about the new ViacomCBS international release, I guess you could say upgrade or spread around of CBS All Access to multiple different markets around the globe. I talked about the story several times throughout the year based off of their initial Q1's earning report with investors. They talked about that internally, that they wanted to create a Viacom product that could be shared internationally that would include all of the Viacom stuff. That's Paramount, MTV, Nickelodeon, Comedy Central, CBS stuff, Star Trek, all of those shows would be included into this international streaming service, as opposed to going to, Amazon for Picard or Netflix for Discovery or wherever the hell Lower Decks is going to be at. You would just go to this one streaming service. I've been theorizing that it was going to be around the end of this year based off of their own reports, so that kind of makes sense. But this one here does say that it has been kind of pushed back a little bit to the early parts of 2021, which I guess kind of correlates to the fact that coronavirus happened and really pushed everything back. But they are looking to release this new streaming service in key specific markets. Specifically, they referenced in this article Australia, Latin America, including Argentina, Brazil, and Mexico, as well as specific Nordic countries. And these things are going to be kind of combined with the Paramount Plus streaming service, supposedly, so that's kind of fading away. It's unclear what the name really is of this particular streaming app, and I honestly think there was a reference in this article to what the name would be, but They keep renaming these things all the time. I'm not even clear as to whether or not CBS All Access is going to remain the name of the one that's available in North America, or if they're just going to break that down and move it into this new ViacomCBS international streaming service, whatever it is that they're going to call it. So I just wanted to share that out because I know a lot of people are concerned with what's going on with the streaming rights for CBS and Star Trek, specifically internationally. Lower Decks is, of course, right now the hot topic issue, but we are right around the corner for the situation with Star Trek Discovery. Now, they need to figure that piece out and get that going. This particular streaming service is not going to help right now for people in international markets. This is, again, going to be in 2021. But this is going to alleviate a lot of the problems moving forward with the rest of Star Trek from an international perspective, which I think is really, really great news. Okay, so the last story I want to go ahead and cover is the Noah Hawley Star Trek film. Now, this was reported around quite heavily by various media outlets. We don't actually have, an official piece from Noah Hawley and Paramount, which is such a strange thing. Remember, he was kind of announced as the, Star Trek 4 film director, kind of continuing on the Kelvin thing, but then it was also said that it was not that, it was something else, and then it was back to being that, and then it was all over the place, and we weren't really quite sure what was going on, and I think that had to do with just really the script work being done, and it was just unclear as to who was doing what and when. So it has been kind of pseudo-officially announced that the Noah Hawley script for Star Trek, whatever it was going to be, has been permanently shelved. Now, that is in relations reportedly to the same exact report because the script itself dealt with a deadly virus that wiped out a majority of the population in the Alpha and Beta quadrants, which is topical, obviously, but kind of insensitive and maybe not something that people actually want to see. People want to go to the movies to get some escapism, specifically what Star Trek is about, a little bit of escapism with some commentary. That would be, I think, a little too close to home. Now, remember, this probably wasn't really being worked on and when COVID kind of really started to pick up. This story's been kind of reported on for quite a while now. It's been months since they originally announced the Star Trek 4 thing with Noah Hawley, so it definitely doesn't seem like that was intentional on their part, but it is intentionally being put on hold right now because perhaps they feel like that storyline may be the wrong direction to go to right now. But it is important to note, in the article, it does not say that the project has been canceled. But also keep in mind that this is not the first time that we've heard this report about the Noah Hawley Star Trek thing. It's been up and down, left and right, nonstop. Now, the Quentin Tarantino thing was an even more tumultuous situation where I personally never believed that it was ever actually going to happen, and it's really not going to happen. And this thing, in my opinion, this whole Noah Hawley thing has been up, down, left and right, and I still think it's going on. There's nothing officially stating that it's been canceled or anything like that, but it is important to note that they are clearly looking at what to do with Star Trek. And a lot of studios are in this weird position right now. It doesn't make sense to sink a $300 million or $200 million into a Star Trek production and get ready for all that when we don't even know what the next 2 years worth of CinemaScape is going to look like. How many theaters are still going to be left open? Are things going to be shutting down? Are things going to be going straight to streaming? It's unclear at this point. So it makes sense in my mind why a studio is doing that. I get that from a financial aspect of it. And let's be real. The Kelvin films, yeah, they did really well in some regards, but in other regards, they didn't do that. People say Beyond was a financial box office failure. It really wasn't a failure. It just was not a resounding success like the other two Kelvin films. If you really look at the numbers, it was not a resounding success in comparison to that. Now, that, of course, could involve some numbers on the back end that I'm not aware about, but from the public information, it just did okay. And they may not necessarily want to be doing that right now with the Star Trek franchise and just get an okay return, and that's not something that they're interested in doing, which is losing money. That's not what studios are about. So it makes sense that they would kind of put the brakes on this. Maybe we all as the Star Trek community got a little too excited in regards to the Noah Hawley thing and got a little too animated about it. And that includes myself, and really it was something actually much more low-key than what we originally thought in terms of what the production setup was going to be, and maybe we blew it up more than what it should have been, so this announcement shouldn't have been as impactful to the franchise, and maybe it really isn't, but to us it feels that way. I don't know, but I just wanted to share that story with you guys and gals. So I know I just covered a whole wide array of topics. If you want to go ahead and check out this information for yourself, be sure to check out the descriptions down below. All of the links to all of the things I just talked about will be there for you to go ahead and do your own research and get your own information to build up your own opinions. Remember to build your own opinions. Don't just take everybody's word for things. Anyways, guys and gals, that does wrap up today's video. I'm curious to hear what all of you guys think about the whole situation with Noah Hawley's video. And do you think that Alex Kurtzman essentially just 100% or 99.9999% confirmed that we're getting a Star Trek Discovery Season 4? Remember, that adds on to all of the other information that I've covered on this channel. I'm curious to hear what you guys and gals think about that. Get your thoughts up down below, and we'll go ahead and get the conversation started. Live long and prosper, my Trekkies!